welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the T-44. It's a Tier 8 Soviet medium tank. It's located on the eastbourne of Safe Haven, and this one is under the command of SlyMeerkat. Now, 2 days ago it was his birthday. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get this one recorded on his birthday, but we're doing it now, and a number of other replays featuring him. There you can see 2 marks of Vixens on the barrel, just not any old marks. Yes, he's got the Ukrainian flag on there as well. Now, this tank actually is the most underrated tank in World War II. According to David Willey of the Tank Museum, the curator, he thinks this is a really good tank. This is actually the forerunner of the T-44. Now, they built 1,823 of these, and they started building them, but the Soviets actually decided to go ahead with the T-34-85 instead, because it was easier to convert the T-34 into a medium tank than it was to build a brand new tank altogether. But because they've tooled up the factory already, they went ahead and built some anyway, and well, they built quite a lot actually. 1,823 is not a small number, but they did actually build a lot more T-34-85s. Now, you've got a variety of 5 guns for this tank, and in this particular version, as we've got here, it's the 100mm, the UBR-412. Now, you can have either 2 versions of the 85mm, 2 versions of the 100mm, and there's also 1 version of a 122mm gun as well. But of course, although that's the top gun that most people tend to, or some people use, it's got rather a long reload time, which makes it quite a bit cumbersome. So it's sometimes better to actually have the 100mm gun instead, because that's the version that you get in a premium tank, the T-44-100. This thing's got 250 Alpha, 190mm of pen, and with the premium rounds that goes up to 247mm of pen. This, I think, is the LB1 version, if I'm correct. Okay, didn't pen him there. Bit difficult to pen a KD5 unless you hit him in the Dalek, which of course is the radio operator's turret. Very strong tank. Oh, want to get out of the way of that one. Scorpion. It doesn't have particularly strong armour. 190mm on the front of the turret, 130 on the sides, 100 on the rear. And the hull, well, 90mm on the front, 75 on the sides, and 45 on the rear. This tank actually had many of the similar characteristics to the T-54 and the T-55. Oh, look at that shot. One shot and he's gone. It's got very many similarities. Reasonably fast firing gun as well, which is one of the benefits. 7.19 seconds is the book time. You can see Sly's got it down to 5.71. Look at the way he's harrying this T-26E5, and the guy's gone. He didn't get the kill on that one. That actually went to Owen Enraged, his normal partner in crime, who's also in the game, and he's in Centurion 5-1, which is the Australian Centurion. And unfortunately at the moment he's in a bit of a pickle because he's being focused on by that Tiger 2, and we need to get him out of the way, but we also need to stop that other tank from causing problems. Tiger 2's gone down. Owen Rage got the kill, and now we've got the kill on the TNH 105-1000. So Owen Rage has got 3 kills and Sly's got 2. Now, what more can I tell you about the T-44? Well, it was supposed to be an upgrade of the T-43. That was supposed to be the replacement for the T-34, but it never came about. As I said, they only produced a certain amount because they'd already started work on it, and they thought it was a good tank, but in the end they found it was cheaper to actually take a T-34 and put a new turret on it than it was to actually build what was extensively a brand new tank, albeit that it was actually a very, very good tank and the forerunner of the T-44, which was the most built tank of all time. Oh, he was just fired upon there by somebody on the enemy team who's over in that corner. Now, what else I can tell you about this tank with the 100mm gun? It's got superb all-round mobility. It's got very low profile, great camo, decent hull armor, good aim time and accuracy. The depression's not so good. It's only 5 degrees, but it does have a reasonable DPM. What else can I tell you? It's got the second worst pen if you're using the D25, the 122mm gun. Oh, somebody's hiding behind there. Hello. Okay, well, it's an IS-7 and he's going to go down. Next shot. His fast fire rate is actually quite good. Okay, that's his third kill, which means both of them got 3 now. Okay, Omen and Rage coming down from his heights. Oh, he's going up again. Now, as I said, they actually built variants with the 100mm gun and the 122, and in fact, the T-44-100 is in the game as a premium tank, but not on this occasion. We're not seeing it. And another kill this time on the STA-1. So he's now up to 4 kills, Sly. They actually started work on the revised version of the T-44 in 1945, right up to the end of the war. And they didn't actually have it ready until 1954, but then of course everyone saw it. You can see the turret is fairly cramped. Unfortunately, we just lost Omen in Rage. He just got wiped out by a T-103. And as you know, he does have a 13cm gun, so I think we're departing the area. Our chances of getting a Brothers in Arms has just gone out the window, but we won't hold that against Omen in Rage. Yeah, he's telling him to pull out. In fact, actually, it was Sly that was telling him to pull out. Saying, get out of the way of that T-103. Ooh, SU-130PM and he can't see us. Takes a big hit. He's loading the HE. The HE has got much better damage. These shells will do 330 alpha. So it is slightly more than the 250. The SU-130PM though is ready and waiting for him with that 13cm. So it might be worth holding him here for a second if somebody else on the team is actually going up for him, but nobody is. So I think we'll leave this position and try and get him from a different angle. Where's that T-103? Well, he's not there. Somebody was saying to me a long time ago, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, that they thought the T-44-100 was actually one of the really good tanks in the game. Of course, this is the non-premium version, but the premium version you get extra XP. And there's the SU-130PM. It's gone a long way away. It's gone up onto the heights. He's now looking down on this area, but he can't see us at the moment. We're 1 down on the enemy at the moment. He's changed his mind, going back up again. The hull and everything has actually got some of the characteristics of the T-44. The bad characteristics. Gets the SU-130PM. Made a big mistake coming back down. The bad characteristic is that the ammo rack is right next door to the driver. The driver's on the right, as you can see here, and the ammo rack's on the left-hand side. If you can penetrate the ammo rack by going through the upper plate, you can make this thing go bang quite easily. And that was a fault that was a big problem. And the way around it is actually to have safe stowage in the inside and also an ordinary ammo rack, so you don't get that sort of problem. But it is a problem for the T-44s and for the T-54s for that matter. Okay, where's that T-103 gone? He's hiding. Very well, you're just going to run into him all of a sudden. There's another SU-130PM. So the one we saw up in the heights was not the same one that we fired at earlier. He changed position, and there's the T-103 near the cap area. Oh, one shot, and that's the Top Gun. Excellent. There's only 2 enemies left. He could still get a Rattles. Oh, he takes one round, but he takes out the SU-130PM with the return shot. Oh dear, we lost the driver. He's going to need to put that guy back in, but he hasn't got a first aid kit yet. He's going to have to wait a little while. It's a bit slow now. Top speed now reduced to 46. It was 51. Oh, it's going back up again. Okay, so he's fixed his driver now. I guess he wants that last kill to get his Radleys, and the rest of the team are allowing him to do it because, of course, there is only one enemy left. It is a Peregrine, which is, as you know, a version of the Renegade. And it looks like he's AFK. Or is it a Peregrine? Is it the... Am I wrong? I think it might be a version of the IS-3. I think I'm wrong. It's the IS-3, yes. They kept coming up with new names for some of these tanks. And that looks like an IS-3 outline to me. He's just going to blast it with the APCR. And then collect his Radley Walters. Here we go. This is to win the game. Yes! Well done to SlyMeerkat. Here's the end of battle stats for SlyMeerkat in the T-44. He got an ace tanker in that game, not the first ace tanker he's had. He's had them before. He managed to get a master gunner for getting 5 armor penetrating shots in a row, fire for effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle, a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he ended up with 12 in this one. He got a Radley Walters medal for killing 8 enemy vehicles. In fact, the last one was a doddle because the guy was AFK. What a pity he didn't enter the game. A high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game, and a Top Gun for getting at least 6 kills, and his win 8 from that battle, 19,502. A very high score indeed. Well done to Sly. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, his highest damage in that one was 5,970 hit points. The next highest scorer was the VK7501K, the premium, who was 3,131. He picked up a steel wall in that game. The third highest damage in the game turned out to be the SDA-1 with 2,217. When it came to kills, he managed to get the highest number of those with 8, which is actually basically carrying everybody else in the game. Second highest went to, that's Omen Enraged, actually, I think. The Centurion 5-1, yes, it is him. He managed to get 1,791 hit points and 3 kills. Of course, you saw, unfortunately, he was killed by the T-103. Nothing we could do about that at the time. But Sly got revenge because, of course, he shot him right up the rear, and that was the end of his game. So well done on that count. And the next highest scorers after that was the SU-130PM on his own team with 2 kills, the SDA-1 on the enemy team, their Centurion 5-1, and their KV-5. When it came to base XP, yep, Sly got that one, 1,902. So he's got the top in all 3 columns. 1,013 went to the VK7501K, and the third one goes to Omen Enraged with 938. So only 2 players managed to get over 1,000, but Omen Enraged was very close behind. Sly fired 31 rounds in that game. You get 56 rounds of ammunition with the 100mm. 29 direct hits on the enemy, 27 penetrations, 5,970 hit points of damage, of which 240 were at more than 300 meters. He received 1 hit. It was a penetration. Yeah, he did get hit. I think that was the SU-130PM, if I remember correctly. I may be wrong, but I think it was. 2 enemy vehicles spotted. 11 enemy vehicles damaged, 8 killed, and on a premium count, he earned 83,849 credits for the game. After repair, ammunition, resupply, and consumables, made a loss of 31,426 credits. Yes, he was firing premium ammo, but there again, he was trying to third market at the time. As you saw, he had 2 marks up already, and he wanted that third one. And that's why you fire premium ammo. You fire premium ammo to make sure that every shot counts, so you can maximize your damage rate. And that way, that's how you get the third mark. 2,853 XP, no multipliers because he'd already had one, and that's the experience points for the day. Let's have a quick look at some of the other interesting information about this tank. This is the armor profile for the T-44. You can see it's got very much the shape of the T-54 in terms of the hull, although the turret's very, very different. The T-54 has a rounded turret. This has a turret that's much more like either the IS-2 or the T-43. In fact, it was, of course, an improvement of the T-43, but they tried and they managed to get to a different hull shape. And you can see it also looks like the T-54 first prototype as well in many ways. The upper plate on this one is 90mm. With the angling, it comes out to about 140. Lower plate is 90, comes out about 136. Side armor, 75mm, coming out about 85. The sides of the turret, well, 130mm, but about 143 because it's kind of slab-sided. From the front, you've got the heaviest armor here, which is 190mm. Just right next door to the mantlet, that's coming out at 194. The mantlet itself doesn't really add anything here, but it is still 190. You can see the cupola's got rather thin now, and it's only 100mm thick, and it's slab, so you could get that. And you can also see that yes, it's a flat roof on the turret. They haven't angled it in any way. If we go to the roof of the vehicle, you can see that the top armor is 35mm. So for Arty players, yep, you can pen it. You can pen the rear of the thing as well. 20mm, much easier to get the engine deck. And the rear of the tank is only 45mm, coming out 46, because again, it's kind of flat, but slightly. And there's another characteristic you can see here straight away, that front wheel, the first wheel on the rope wheels, is actually spaced from the rest of them. That's a characteristic you see on all the T-54s afterwards as well. So yes, that's one of the big identifiers what that tank is. Does it have a separate front rope wheel? Yes, if it does, that is the indication of which one it is. If we look at the live model, you can see the front plate is actually quite strong if it's angled. And if I turn the turret to face, if I get the turret to look at me, thank you very much, you can see that the armor is actually quite strong. So this one, you can angle to get better armor. You just don't want the enemy to shoot through that narrow bit there where it's a little weaker. Okay, let's have a quick look at the modules. Okay, there's the driver on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, we've got the fuel tank, because, of course, fuel can act as armor. And behind that armor, or behind the fuel, is that big ammo rack, which is the big danger, because if the shell goes through the front of the vehicle, it might ammo rack it if it hits the rack just there. There's another ammo rack on the sides of the vehicle, just underneath the turret. There's another one in the bustle of the turret itself. In the turret, we've got the gunner on the right-hand side, the commander just behind him. He's the one with the cupola, and the loader is on the opposite side of the vehicle, the left-hand side. There's another fuel tank behind or in between the engine and the crew compartment, and the transmission is right at the rear of the vehicle after the engine itself. So if you shoot into the rear of the thing, you're more likely to hit the gearbox than you get the engine. And to get the fuel tank, you'd have to either punch in through the front of the vehicle or through the sides to try and get at it. That's a little more difficult, but you're much more likely to penetrate this way. And of course, you would want to try and protect that fuel tank if you can, as well as the ammo rack. I found a few pictures actually of a T-44. This is the one at Kubinka, funnily enough. It's got a particular name, Zamensky. It's a restored version of a specific one that was actually used, and you can see Yes, it's got all the characteristics, all the looks of a T54 hull, but not the T54 turret. And the turret, yes, is very similar to the ones that went on the T-34-85. We go through these again. You can see in some of the parks, and I can't remember if I actually did or didn't, but I did see a group of tanks parked up behind fence, and I think this might be what I actually did see, because when I've been to Moscow a few times, and apparently this is one of the great the Museum of the Great Patriotic War in Victory Park, and I've been past the place, that place many times, and they have all these tanks parked up so people can just walk by and have a look at them. And I think Quickie Baby went to the ones or the museums in Minsk, and I also went to them in Crimea as well. Lots of places where you can actually see Russian tanks out in the open, have a good look over them and inspect them. But yes, this is a T-44 out in there, and I think this is the one with the pretty sure this is the one with the 100mm gun, but I am willing to be corrected. That could be an 85. It's not going to be the 122 for certain, because those definitely did have the fume extractor, or the muzzle brake rather. And you can see here, this is a T-44-85. So I think looking at this one compared to the previous one, that's probably the 85 then. Yeah, that is probably an 85. But yes, these are the prototypes of the T-44-85 during trials. That's the one with the 100mm. So it is a bit longer, quite a bit longer. So yes, it has to be the 85, the one in the in Victory Park. And I think this is the one. It's the one on the right. That one. It says T-44-85 and the T-44-122 prototype. So this is probably the 122 prototype, or T-44-122. That's the T-44-85, and they're second generation, or two of the first generation ones. So what have we got here? Oh, we've got another one which is featuring, I think that's the 122mm gun. Yes, it does. It says T-44-122 trials, where they were comparing it against the German Panther. So that's the Panther, and this is the T-44-122. And you can see the front armor is much more pronounced angled than the armor on the Panther. So yes, you can see it's a bit of a puzzle. This is much better angling, much better to bounce the shells than this. This is so slab-sided. You'd think that the shells would just dig in straight away and go through. But I suppose the Germans were doing precision manufacture of their tanks, whereas the Soviets were just slapping them together as fast as they could. I mean, that's not an insult to the Soviets. I mean, just they were trying to produce as many tanks as they could, because they were losing so many. So that's why they had to just punch them together as quickly as they could to get them out the factory door. This, of course, is the T-34-85. That was the tank that was actually more produced. It says T-44 predecessor, but at the time they had the choice of either manufacturing the T-44 or manufacturing the T-34-85, and they chose to go with the 85 because it was much easier to convert a T-34 into a T-34-85 than it was to build the brand new T-44, which is one of the reasons why I think Dave Willey actually thinks it's a better tank, because it does have a better gun, it has a better hull, it was slightly more complicated to make, it was much lower profile, and had a better bounce than the other tanks. So I think this, on the whole, is a better tank than the T-34. The T-44 is a better tank than the T-34-85. Although we, of course, in the game, most people would say, oh, T-34-85 is much more universal. It's tier 6. It's an earlier version, you could say. It hasn't got all the bells and whistles, and the T-44 does, which makes it a better tank overall. And yeah, so there you are. That's the T-44 100, that one there. I think that's, or is that? No, I've got it wrong again. I'm pretty sure that is a T-44-85, not the other one. But you'll have to look it up for yourself to compare the various tanks, because of the guns, the T-44 100 probably is the better gun than the 85 or the 122. The 122's got too long a reload, and the T-44 85s have got too little DPM to make them count. So T-44 100 every time if you can. Okay, it's a bit of a long-winded one for you there, but I thought it'd be useful to actually explain that, because David Willey actually does a whole video about the T-44 of his own right. So go to the Tank Museum website and you can look that one up for yourself. But yes, he definitely thinks this is the most underrated tank of all time. And you can see in SlyMeerkat's hands, it's actually quite a deadly tank. He was racking that up, and that was in a standard tank, not a premium. This was a standard Tech Tree tank, and he managed to generate quite a good result. Of course, he did have Omen Enraged's help, and they did take down a significant number of the enemy team between them. In fact, actually, I think you can see he got 3 kills and Sly got 8, so they were very close to getting the crucial contribution either way. But yes, it just goes to show you that the T-44 is a good tank from that perspective. I hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give the video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.